Welcome to Scale Her Up, the Female Entrepreneurs Show with me, Brenda Hector. I'm a business growth specialist helping business owners to develop themselves and grow their businesses so they can achieve their goals and enjoy the lifestyle they dream of. I'm on a mission to revolutionise the entrepreneurial landscape for women in business. In every podcast episode, I interview someone who has an inspiring story or some great advice for women aiming to start or scale their businesses. If you're new to the show, take a moment to subscribe right now so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And please check the previous ones after listening to this one. We've got an awesome Facebook community. Just search for Scale Her Up and join in. And today I'm delighted to welcome Iona Foubister from FG Burnett on the show. Iona, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, the first question is for anyone who doesn't know, what's FG Burnett and what do you do?
So FG Burnett, we are a firm of, chartered surveyors / commercial property consultants. We've got a number of departments. A lot of people, if you're from Aberdeen, you will have seen probably the for sale boards, the to let boards up on commercial property. But there is a lot more to us than that. So I'm in the building consultancy department. We are involved in a lot of additional services to the sales and lettings part. We deal with building surveys, being building surveyors. So we undertake building surveys perhaps for people looking to purchase property, making sure there are no issues with the property, any major defects or any costs that are suddenly going to hit the purchaser after they've bought it that's going to come as a surprise to them. Similarly, if somebody's looking to lease a building, we'll do surveys of the buildings. And then also, so that's the building consultancy department. We've also got property management, we've got valuation, rating department, basically anything. If you've got any queries about commercial property, we will have somebody there that will be able to assist you with anything that you need to know.
Brilliant. Well described. I hadn't realised quite how broad the range of work that you do until I came to your networking thing earlier this week. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's much bigger than I thought it was. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what a lot of people seem to find. Yeah, as I say, a lot of people just think, oh, you need a surveyor to help you purchase your property or lease a property. They don't actually realise the importance of everything else that comes with it, which sometimes is maybe not great for them because you think you've maybe just got the one fee, but there's a lot more, and the importance of getting the correct advice from all of the different parties, all the different services that you need, just to make sure you're doing the right thing.
So this is really relevant actually for my audience are business owners and business people. And if you've not been involved in commercial property, you know that you don't really know what you don't know. It's a bit different from buying a house or buying a flat or whatever. What would be the advice you would have for a business that's looking for premises or looking to, yeah, what starter advice for somebody?
I think the starter advice would be to take advice. We see this quite often. Well, we've had one, just an email that came in yesterday, and it's somebody who has already, a company that's already looking to lease a property, an office building, and they're saying they've agreed the lease with the landlord, directly with the landlord. Now, the landlord has got their surveyor who will be doing the deal with them, but the tenant is just trying to agree it themselves. And there's a couple of things were mentioned. So they've now come to us at the last minute looking for what's called a schedule of condition, and that protects their liability, their obligations under the lease, or reduces and limits their obligations under the lease. But what they said in the email was about, we're just checking with the landlord if we're allowed to have a schedule of condition. And I'm just sort of shaking my head thinking, well, no, because I know the property that you're looking at. It's probably circa 15 years old. It's a second-hand property, as you would call it. You absolutely should have a schedule of condition. There should be no doubt about it. So it's the fact that because they haven't taken advice from a surveyor or like my agency colleagues or ourselves, they're maybe not getting the best deal here. They think they might be. They might have managed to maybe reduce the rent from what was being asked for it. But it's all about knowing the market, having the experience of the market, knowing the other deals that are getting done on the buildings next door, and having that background information to make sure you're getting the best deal. Because otherwise, if the landlord's got advice and you don't, the landlord's going to be getting the deal that they're going to want. So, and similarly, if you're purchasing property, you don't want to go and buy a property and suddenly there's a major issue with it. If we sort of look at the residential sales, there's always the home report that comes that you can look at when you're buying a house. Now, okay, the home report is nowhere near as detailed as the surveys that we do, but at least you've got something there that's tells you if there's any major issues. Whereas people will go and buy a commercial property, there's no requirement or legislation to have anything like a home report there. So you just never know what you could find when you suddenly you've purchased a building and it's too late. So just absolutely, yeah, take advice if you're looking at it, and surveyor advice as well, I would say. So similarly, that email that came through yesterday, the tenant was also in conversation with their solicitor. So they're probably thinking their solicitor is the one giving them the advice. But the solicitor doesn't visit the property. They've never been there. They don't know the condition it's in. They're working from their office, absolutely doing a great job. No offence to them, but they haven't seen it. They don't really know maybe what their client is signing up to. So yeah, just making sure you get the right advice at the right time.
So I guess there's a risk of going, that's all expensive, we'll manage without it, and then getting caught out further down the
Yeah.
line.
That's definitely the difficulty, can be the cost. As I think I mentioned earlier, yes, it's an additional fee because you've got your solicitor fees, you've obviously got your purchase price and LBTT, etc. So it is an additional cost, but the way that we always try and explain it is what it could eventually save you at the end of the line. Certainly in terms of a schedule of condition for leasing a property, it might cost you, just as a random example, it might cost you £1,000 to get this done when you're taking on the lease, but it will possibly save you tens of thousands, if not more, at lease expiry when the landlord hits you with dilapidations. So yeah, it's trying to get the understanding of that can be difficult sometimes.
Well, I'm glad you're on here because this is at least a start of educating people about where the pitfalls are and the benefits of getting the right advice and getting the right experts involved.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. I imagine that your industry is quite male heavy.
It's probably improved over the years. I mean, if I think about our office at the moment, we're doing fairly well. My department alone, there's 4 of us in the department, and yes, I am the only female. I predominantly have been. We have had a couple of others, but when I started with the company 12 years ago, I was coming into a department of 4 or 5. I was the only female. We have had one other during that time, but yeah, back to just myself. So certainly in the building consultancy department, it is more. If you look around the other building surveyors in Aberdeen, there are a couple of others, but yes, I think it is predominantly male. The agency side, my colleagues in the agency side, is slightly different. We are seeing a lot more females or women coming into that now. We've got 4 trainees at the moment, and 3 of them are female, which is great. And we have had a number of sort of internships over the last few years as well, and students who are still at Aberdeen University doing the real estate courses just now, and quite a lot of the internships that we're having are female as well. So it's certainly good from the agency side, but yeah, the building surveying side's a difficult one. Yeah, there are more of us, but yeah, not as many as we would probably like there to be.
And have you experienced challenges in your career because you're a woman?
To be honest, I wouldn't say I have, which a lot of people find surprising, but I genuinely don't think I have. And whether that's where maybe the fear of people coming into the industry is because people expect there to be,
Mhm.
but Over the years, I don't think I have. When I graduated from university, I was graduating with many others on the course. Well, I say many others. I think there was maybe about 8 to 10 of us graduating at the same time, and a mixture, male and female. We were all tended to be interviewing for the same jobs, or similar ones. And for the role that I'm in at FG Burnett, I know there was an interview with one of the male students that I graduated with, and it was myself that got the job. And just working through over the years, I think there's only ever been maybe one that I can remember, and it wasn't even an issue really. It was just I remember having a phone call with somebody, and when I had said it was me that was going to be dealing with this, they were surprised. And I can't remember what it was that he said to me. Yeah, I can't remember it, but I just remember him being surprised that it was me, and I could tell it was referring to the fact that I was a woman. But other than that, and he was absolutely fine about it as well, no issues. But so no, I certainly haven't seen any issues, thankfully, over the years. But yeah, it is possibly that people think there possibly is going to be.
Yeah, no, it's good to know, and probably surprising. So it's good that you're telling
Yes.
people. Yeah. So you've been with FG Burnett. But actually, tell us about the FG Burnett's a long established firm, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they've been Aberdeen, I think, over 65 years they've been in the town. So yes, yes, obviously change in personnel and everything over the years, but no, they certainly have been here for a long time.
And in your time there, so then you started a, a good few years ago, but now you're a director of the company.
Yes.
Talk to me about that journey then.
Mhm. So I was at Robert Gordon University, doing the building surveying course, 4-year course there. Graduated, let me get my years right here. That would have been 2013. I graduated. As I mentioned, went through a couple of interviews, but got the graduate route at FG Burnett. So when you join as a graduate, you're enrolled onto what is called the Assessment of Professional Competence, and that is run by the RICS, Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. So that's a minimum 2-year period where you're basically working and you're gaining all the experience you need to become a chartered building surveyor in my case. And then at the 2 years, if your counsellor and your supervisor at work agree that you're ready to sit the interview, you sit the interview with the RICS assessors. They'll ask you, it's an hour interview, you do a presentation, they ask you about your experience, ask you questions, and assuming they're happy with it and you pass, you become a chartered surveyor. So that's what happened. 2 years in, passed the RICS APC, and then from there I've just continued working my way through. We've got various kind of various parts. You become a chartered surveyor, you've got senior surveyor, associate director, and then eventually in the last, I think it's possibly about a year and a half now, was offered the position as director on the board as well. So yeah, it's just been such a quick, and that's 10 years now that I've been fully qualified. It's just flown past really.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that step to director, there's a whole load more responsibility being at the top of the company. How have you adjusted to that?
Mhm. I think I've probably found it fairly easy to adjust. And I mean, what I've tried to make sure is that I haven't, I suppose, changed or adjusted too much. I mean, we've got a breakout room at lunchtime, where many of the employees go, and I've just made sure that, well, there's no change to that. I still enjoy their company. I'm still spending as much time with them. I go in there for my lunch. So I'm making sure that I'm definitely still part of the overall company, and enjoying their company. So it's really just the main issue, not the main issue, the main change is attending the board meetings and just any follow-ups that I have to do for that. We've our monthly meetings. They can be a number of hours. I think we were about 5 hours in the room
Oh, goodness.
last week, going through all of the points. So yeah, I would say it hasn't maybe changed as much as I thought it would, or there hasn't been too much pressure. I think because everything we seem to run very well in the company. Haven't don't have any major issues or anything really at the moment that's caused any friction or anything like that. So yeah, it's just sort of enjoy being able to run it and have a say, I suppose, in a way as well, because I'm the only one on the board that's not an executive director or a shareholder, as they call it. I also try and feel that I'm there as well on behalf of the employees.
The spokesperson for the.
Yes, yeah, trying to make sure that yeah, they've got a say in anything that I'm aware they're maybe not happy with, but they're just not quite keen to maybe take to the board level or anything like that, or remain anonymous, if you like. Mhm.
So what are the challenges that you face then? I mean, well, actually, the FG Burnett face or that you yourself face.
Mhm.
Um, it's a difficult time in Aberdeen. Well, lots of people tell you it's a difficult time in Aberdeen at the moment.
Challenges that we face, I think, there's probably a couple that I could mention. One of them is being the small business that we are compared to some of our competitors. Some of our competitors are international or
Mhm.
global companies, and it's all everything that we need to do internally, due to obviously, yes, the cost of things, the cost of other external consultants, that type of thing. So it's just being able to handle everything internally as much as we can. So whilst other companies, you see companies have business development managers and PR companies and all that kind of thing, whereas we have to do that along with our day-to-day runnings. We've got all of that to do on the side. I need to make sure I'm going out for coffees and lunches, doing the networking events like we did a couple of days ago, doing all of these things to keep the company moving at the same time, because we don't have our own in-house business development person that does it all for you.
Okay.
Any articles, any social media posts, it's all up to us to think of topics, and remembering that you've got to do that on the side to keep things going. So that's probably, yeah, one of the main things is that, yeah, trying to run the small business ourselves and keep it going.
So there's like being the surveyor, and
Yeah.
then there's running the business that goes round that, and yeah.
Exactly, yeah, because it's different, I suppose, as well when you are maybe newly qualified, and it's a case of the head of the department passes you a job, said, "Right, we've agreed the quote. This is the quote we've agreed. This is the building. There you go. Off you go and go and do the survey," and that's fine. Whereas, yeah, as the further on you get, you've got that to do as well, but you're also involved a lot earlier on, so you've got to spend certain times a day thinking, well, what are the quotes that need to go out today? So we've got all of that. And then there's a bit of research into that. So you have to go and look at the building, find out what it is the client actually needs. You've got your conflict of interest check, etc. You've got all of that, giving the quote, getting the acceptance, and then doing the survey as well. And on the sideline, yes, you've got the business development, the marketing, all of that type of stuff, to have to do at the same time.
I talk to a lot of business owners or people that have, started their own business who then they start their business because they want to deliver a service or a product, and then they discover that they've got to sell. And actually, the biggest part of their job is finding the customers to buy and actually delivering the services. That's the easy part.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, you've just got to. I suppose it's just, and it's remembering to do it as well. That can be the problem. Yeah, but and there's so many different ways to do it. We've got so many repeat clients, which is brilliant. So there is a lot of work comes in, repeat clients that are always coming back to us. But then repeat clients, they don't always have projects to do. You do something for them, that's it, done for another 5 years, maybe until the
Mhm.
lease expires. But um, yeah, so it's always, yeah, always trying to find the new contacts, new clients, and yeah, sell your services, as you say.
Mhm. And yeah, that involves putting yourself out there, doesn't it? And yeah.
Yeah. You get used to it eventually. I mean, it was difficult to begin with, and it's the same. You you learn, oh, how to do all of this. It's similar with even just when you start as a graduate. and you're scared to even pick up the phone to somebody at the time, but and you just get used to it. And it's similar when you have to go out, you have to do presentations. I mean, doing the presentation I did a couple of days ago, 10 years ago, I'd have been petrified to do that, but you just get used to it. You know what you have to do. I'll happily go out for meet somebody for a lunch and a coffee and be able to make conversation with them. And there are some people that's just not for them. So there are other ways, and I think social media nowadays is probably
Mm.
one of the biggest things as well. And then that's another issue that you've got. It's remembering what do you even write on social media? What can we post on LinkedIn today or in the next couple of days, and keeping it fresh, really. So yeah, a lot
Yeah,
to think about.
it is hard, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So, who's been your biggest supporter?
Um, Probably work-wise, probably my boss. I mean, he's the head of our department. The person I sat the initial interview with gave me the job,
Hmm.
and is obviously had the belief in me over the last 10 to 12 years, and allowing me to progress, as well as the overall board that we've had over the years. And but certainly, yeah, head of our department, my boss has probably been great with all the opportunity that he's given me for it. Yeah.
And what have been the highs then?
The highs is probably just enjoying what I'm doing, and I
Mhm.
think that's one of the most important things. And I think the reason I enjoy it is because I'm not office based 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, because we've got so many buildings to go and look at, so many surveys to do, that we get out of the office. I see one day I can be in a small retail shop on Union Street. The next I'll be maybe one of the granite buildings in West End to an industrial shed up in Altons. And it changes, and not even just locally as well. Getting out and about, we do a fair bit up Inverness direction as well. So you never know where you could be over the next few weeks and all the different buildings you're seeing. And I think that's why I enjoy it, because as I say, I'm certainly not a desk based. There's always the follow up reports and everything to do as well, but it's getting out there seeing this, and I think that's why I enjoy it the most. And it's probably one of the most important things is just to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing. I certainly wouldn't enjoy being in the office all the time. That's not for me. I did an internship when I was at university, at an oil and gas company at the time, and it was absolutely computer, 8:30 till 5:30. And I just thought, and I just knew I couldn't do that.
Mhm.
So no, I was very happy to have one where I'm getting out and about, seeing
Oh,
different
it's
things.
brilliant that you know you're doing something that you enjoy, and yeah, that's half the battle, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Mhm.
Yeah. So, do you think were you always destined to be a director, or was that a surprise to you, or is
Um,
it just the natural progression of your career?
I think the natural progression. I think providing that you put in the effort, and I think that's probably the main thing. Um, it is, yes, there is an extent that you have to maybe go the extra mile in a way to get to that. Um, yeah, putting in some extra hours. You're absolutely not really expected to, but I think the fact that you do the job well, you put in the extra hours, you do the business development. There's quite often a lot of evening networking events, dinners, that type of
Mhm.
thing. So whilst yes, natural progression as I'm learning on the job and getting more experience on the job, it is also just to be seen to be making an effort and going the extra mile to get there. So yeah, I probably imagined I always would end up at
Mhm.
director level. It's possibly just come around maybe quicker than you would imagine. I would think.
No,
Um,
good for you. Yeah,
mhm.
well done, and yeah, hopefully others are following in your footsteps.
Yes, hopefully. It's a bit of a difficult one with the sort of workforce and young workforce coming into the surveying industry. That's probably one of the main issues we are seeing these days. particularly in my department with building surveyors, we're struggling now. It's really not a very well-known profession, and it doesn't help as well that Robert Gordon University have now stopped the building surveying course.
Oh, okay.
So whilst myself, my boss Jim, and my colleague Sam, who's just qualified last week, we were all Robert Gordon University, all the building surveying course over the years, but that's it now finished because they just weren't getting enough entrants into it. So whilst they've stopped the official, I suppose, 4-year course, what they're now turning to is the graduate apprenticeships.
Okay.
So they are offering graduate apprenticeships in surveying, and you can become a building surveyor from that. So that's where we're maybe going to see, or it's going to be, we're going to have to adapt to that. And we're not quite sure how yet, because whilst if you've got somebody that's already on the building surveying course and they're away to graduate, then great, they're ready for the role. Whereas it's more time, I think, on us now to try and get out there. We're having,
Support them if
yeah,
they're doing the apprenticeship. Yeah.
yes, and we imagine they're going to be younger than our previous trainees that come in, probably about 4 years younger.
Yeah.
And it's also how to get those people interested in building surveying as well. And also when they do come in, they're not really going to have any experience in the industry at all. They've not spent 4 years at university, so you're absolutely back to basics, even more than we'd be used to. So again, that's going to have pressure on us, additional time away from our day-to-day work as well. So yeah, that's going to be probably the next issue, and because of that, it's not knowing how many more surveyors we will get into the industry, and especially female surveyors as well into the industry in order to follow in my footsteps, I suppose.
So it's a challenge to bring anyone on, never mind women.
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
a challenge. Yeah, to bring anyone in at the moment. My colleagues in the agency department doing the sales and lettings, that's slightly different. They still, I think, they're still a steady intake into their Aberdeen University for their real estate course, and we still seem to be seeing quite a few graduates coming through looking for internships and things. But primarily with us as building surveyors, yes, it's going to continue to be difficult. Mm-hmm.
Is that going to make it difficult for, I mean, are you going to, is the salaries that people demand going to be higher if there are less surveyors in the pool
Yes.
there?
Yeah, definitely. I think yes, and as a smaller business as well, then that's going to hit us even more. And when we look around the surveying companies in Aberdeen and the building surveyors, there are a number of us have got a vacancy at the moment for building surveyors, and the pool is so small, so you've got somebody moving just from one company to another. So there's a lot of risk in there. As I say, we've just had a trainee qualified last week, so we're absolutely want to keep him going. But there's a very high chance, and it's definitely the salaries with that's going to be the issue at the end of the day. A lot of, and as I say, I think it's about enjoying the company that you work for and the people within the company. But to some people, it's at the end of the day, it can be salary that can be one of the big ticks. And if we as a smaller company compared to some of our competitors can't match that, then it can be difficult. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to pass additional costs on to your customers, and then that affects your competitiveness in the market. And yeah, I understand it's quite a challenge. So yeah, RGU
Mm-hmm.
knew what they were doing, eh? Obviously not affecting all
I
the
mean,
yeah.
I
But
think
then
they
they're a business as well.
yes, exactly. They're a business as well, and I think they've been trying over the years. And it's not just Aberdeen, it's not just RGU. I recall there is one of the Central Belt universities, because the building surveying course, there's not that many of them at every university. I know RGU had it. I think maybe Napier and Glasgow Caledonian, I think, that was, I think, the three that I had applied to. and I'm pretty sure Napier have also finished the course and are on to the graduate apprenticeships as well. So it's not just local. I think it is probably, I would imagine, UK wide. That
So
there's
you're mentioning having to pivot and and change the way that you do things because of that shift. Where else has, I mean, Aberdeen's like in the well, it is 10 years, isn't it, since the oil crash, the sort of 2015, well, maybe 11 years. Um, you'll have seen that, how did the oil crash and COVID affect a company like yours then?
Mhm. It absolutely has affected us. I mean, again, it's we see it differently across the different departments. If
Mm-hmm.
you take our agency, sales and lettings, I mean, yeah, the oil crash and COVID especially has quite a major impact there, because you imagine, you take COVID, for example, everyone's suddenly working from home. Nobody needs an office at that point. And not even just during COVID, but then because people got so used to working from home, and some larger companies then still allowed their staff to work from home, whether it be part-time or permanent. There's just not the requirement for the sizes of offices that there used to be. And you're seeing it. There was one in the news this week about an office building in Aberdeen that, I can't remember if it said it was, did it say it was about only 12 or so years old, and that's a way to be demolished because there just isn't the requirement for it now. So it absolutely affects the agency department, in particular offices. But we have to try and adapt, think of new ways. For our department, there can be benefits to it. If you take the office market, for example, and so there's less demand for office, but there's a lot more on the market available. So if we're acting for landlords and we've got them on the market, they need to be at the highest spec that they can be, the best quality. You need to attract people. So for our department, the fact that we can arrange refurbishments of buildings, we can get the contractors in to make the place look good, that has helped us, because our agency colleagues are saying to the clients, say, well, we've got this building on the market, it's just not moving. We really need to look at improving it. So then it passes over to us to arrange that. And but sometimes still getting clients to understand that can be difficult as well. We have a lot of, or not a lot anymore, I would say. We have still a few clients who are perhaps still used to the way it used to be when the oil and gas was busy.
There's a lot of that all over Aberdeen, isn't there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So they were used to the market then. They they've got an office building on the market. People were desperate for them. They didn't have to do anything to it. The people just moved in and took it on. And some clients do still expect that. So trying to get them to understand that that's just not the case anymore. You need to spend a bit of money on this. But yes, it just doesn't happen. So yeah, it's, obviously there are negatives, but also positives perhaps for our department. And similarly, our property management department, the more vacant buildings they've got, perhaps the more buildings need managed, and things as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, it's got positives and negatives, but it's just trying to adapt to it all.
And educate your clients, I think.
Yes,
I think
absolutely. Yeah.
that's what I got from that answer there. That yeah, um, educating your clients to move with the times, not just your business moving with the times.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the clients, I suppose, I mean, Aberdeen's a very small commercial property market. So yeah, you have a lot of the same clients, or a lot of the same landlords as well. And thankfully, a lot of them do absolutely understand it, and our agency colleagues have done a good job of that. And so yeah, yeah, it's just adapting to that and teaching them.
And obviously, there's an advantage for you guys that having the all this additional services within FG Burnett that you can rely on your other departments to support there. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's probably rare that there are, well, in Aberdeen, it's rare that you've got just building surveying companies. There are one or two. The majority of the surveying industries in Aberdeen are, the multi aspect and multi departments. I can't imagine working without the other departments. The amount of cross selling that there is for business, but also just the knowledge that's there. If you, I think for what we do in as building surveyors, and especially when it comes to things like anything relating to leases, the schedules of condition and the dilapidations at the end of leases, it would be difficult to maybe understand a lot of that if you didn't have the agency department there who are doing the deals, they're negotiating the terms of the lease, and agreeing all of that. So yeah, I can't imagine working without these departments and all of the knowledge that's there.
Yeah, you'd have to be, yeah, you'd be working in the dark or having to source information from, yeah, I
Yes,
can
yeah.
imagine that. Yeah,
Yeah,
must be
I
very
think you'd
helpful.
end up spending so much time trying to source the information that you needed in order to know, well, what is it you actually need here, that sort of thing. Whereas we already know that because we're all in the open plan office. We hear the discussions, we're involved in the discussions, and we have our internal meetings. Each department has an internal meeting monthly, and we all, as many of us as possible, will try and attend those other department meetings just to find out what's going on in the market and in the industry. So you generally know roughly what everyone is doing, the deals everyone's involved in. So then when it comes your time to get involved, you know what's required.
Well, I'm hoping that my listeners have got a thought in their head going, oh, that's a way to scale, adding on a service that would be complementary to what we do already, or yeah. Um, yeah, it's a good business model. I like it.
Yes, yeah.
So, back to Iona then.
Mhm.
A question that I often ask the guests on the show. If you could go back to meet your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give her?
Oh goodness, where was I when I was 18? I would have been at university, wouldn't I? To be honest, I think my advice would probably have to be to just continue as I'm going. I
Tell her
think
she's on the right path.
I think so. I mean, I think I can't really think of any reason as to why I would have wanted to do anything differently. Having made it to director level and on the board, enjoying the job that I'm doing, yeah, I'm not really sure I would have any advice of how to do anything differently. Just keep on going.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's advice enough, isn't it?
Maybe won't help other 18-year-olds in this time of
Yeah.
their life, but
Yeah, you've had a beautiful straight career path so far. So yeah, but most of the people that I interview on here have had a much different, a varied career path to get to where they
okay.
are. So it's nice to know that there are many paths to get to your directorship
Destination.
or yeah.
Yeah.
So Iona, is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't? Anything that you would like to say when you've got this platform?
Nothing that I can think of. No, the main thing that I think I already mentioned that I think is the most important is just about enjoying your job. Um, I suppose as well, believing in yourself about what you can do. That's probably something I've started to realize just a lot more in the recent years that as the years go, when you're a trainee and then even when you're newly qualified, you're always looking for assistance. You always want to run a decision you're away to make about your work past somebody, and having everyone else in the company there has been great for that. But you do notice as the years go on that, well, actually, I don't need that. I know I'm right here. I know I'm doing the right thing here. Now, absolutely, I would never say that you never need advice because um, even at this stage, I'll still turn round to my colleagues just to double check something. My boss will even turn round to us to run something past us as well. But it's definitely just about believing in yourself that you can do it. The more the years go on, I realise you need less of that. You need less assistance, less help, but But yeah, you're never not going to need it. But yeah, just believing that you can actually do things. I think
Believe in
most people
yourself.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Iona, it's been brilliant. I've loved speaking to you and hearing about your story and learning more about FG Burnett. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
yeah. And thank you very much for having me. It's
Oh, pleasure.
been interesting. It's a bit nerve-wracking imagining the questions and things, but no, it's been interesting. Yeah, thank you very much.
A lot of people come on and say that that it's quite powerful just reflecting on where they are and what they've done. So yeah, I hope you got that as well.
Yeah,
And thank you to the listeners for listening to Scale Her Up, the Female Entrepreneurs Show. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes and join our Facebook community at Scale Her Up. Please connect with me, I'm Dr. Brenda Hector, on social media and drop me a message to let me know you're enjoying the podcasts or pop us a review on iTunes. I'll finish by reminding you that only 1 in 3 UK business owners are female, and men are 5 times more likely to scale their business to over 1 million in turnover than women. And when women start and scale businesses to the same extent as men, it will add 250 billion to the UK economy and provide millions of jobs. Now, I should have prepared the statistics for the number of women that are in director level roles as well, but I didn't do that. I might go and find that and add it to the show notes later. But ladies, just like Iona, you can do it and have a massive impact. There we go.